Hey, yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome into a brand new episode of the Review at Rob Show. Appreciate you coming in here to hang out with me to talk all kinds of fun stuff movie wise. On this week's episode, we're talking about the film Den of Thieves 2, Pantera. Going to talk about that one, spoiler free, of course, as well as we got some news to talk about DC. We got some news to talk about horror realm, man. So, all kinds of stuff to get into on this week's episode. So, without further ado, let's jump into this review for Den of Thieves 2. There is your poster. The film is rated R for sexual references, pervasive language, and drug use plus some violence. The film is 2 hours, 24 minutes long. It's classified as a crime, drama, mystery, and thriller action film. And Den of Thieves Pantera, Big Nick, played by Gerard Butler, is back on the hunt in Europe and closing in on Donnie, played by O'Shea Jackson, who is embroiled in the trenches and unprecedented world of diamond thieves and the infamous Panther Mafia as they plot a massive heist of the world's largest diamond exchange, man. And let me go ahead and apologize for my voice. Been dealing with a little bit of an illness the last couple of days, man. Hopefully, it's going to go away soon so I can get into some things. I announced, of course, got the Halloween Horror Night show coming. Once this goes away, I can, work on that. But this show and that show and all kinds of fun stuff to happen, man. Just real quick, was on Death Curse Club talking about anticipated horror films. So if you haven't checked that out, man, go check that out over there. Great show. But Den of Thieves 2, the first film of 2025, first new film of 2025 I saw in theaters. Much better than the first film I saw last year in theaters, which was Night Swim. But Den of Thieves 2. Saw this trailer multiple times throughout last year while in theaters. And it looked interesting. It looked like a fun action flick and all that stuff. But I didn't know anything about Den of Thieves. I didn't know there was a part one beforehand and all that stuff, man. So, I went ahead and watched the first movie the day before I went to saw this one in theaters, and I enjoyed it a good bit. That was a bit long. It was also around that same length as this movie, 2 hours and 20 some odd minutes, but good. Good enough interest, good enough story, good enough action, all that stuff. So I liked the first movie a lot. So I was going into this movie pretty, excited for it. And again, first movie of the year, and I liked that first movie. So going into it, I was like, cool. I want to see how this ends up working out for the sequel. And this movie, of course, obviously, part two as a sequel, and as the poster says there on the little tagline, the score isn't settled. So you know what you're getting into with that synopsis that you read for you, Gerard Butler going to find O'Shea Jackson's character and the events of stuff that goes on there. Now, the change up here, if you've seen the trailer, is you hear the line in there, the cop goes gangster. So the cop, played by Gerard Butler, is now going to be getting in on the action with O'Shea Jackson's character and all that stuff. So um, working around spoilers and all that stuff. I like the story of the film. I think it is pretty well put together. Sequel from the first movie into this one. I think they worked it out very well to make them fit and all that stuff, and to tell the story completely and accurately going into that. So the first thing to really talk about here is: do you need to see the first Den of Thieves to watch this movie? I don't know if you need to, but it will help out to see it, to understand the characters Gerard Butler and O'Shea Jackson are playing, and to understand the story that's carrying on from that first film. So obviously, you would need to see the first movie. Do you have to see it? No, but it's probably much better for you to see that movie to understand some things that are happening in this movie overall. But, and I do suggest checking out that first movie is good. So it works very well story wise. Continuing over here, the action is fun in this movie. Nothing too overly over the top. It's one of the worries we have with these action films. Unless it's a Tom Cruise movie, it's like, oh, it's over the top stuff. It's going to be, they're going to Fast and Furious and stuff like that. Which is funny. These movies feel more like traditional action films. Like, got some crazy moments in there, sure, but nothing that's overly overdone or anything that seems stupid or anything like that. The heist aspect is fun. Seeing a action heist movie is always a good time most of the time, and they did a good job in this movie, just like they did in the first one. Continuing to see how they're going to make it work, because the idea of these movies are trying to do the impossible task, right? Not necessarily Mission Impossible, but so like robbing the impossible place to rob, like the most secure bank, and in this movie, the most secure diamond place. Like, trying to rob the hard to rob areas, the heist of the aspect of it and everything like that. So it's good. And, those scenes where you're going through those heist aspects and you kind of get on your edge of your seat to see, are they going to get through this? How are they going to get through this? And just watching that and, the countdown clocks of how everything's going to work and the technology they have to use and all that stuff. It's cool. Like those things are cool to see and check out. So they delivered there as well and all that, man. Again, my voice is breaking a little bit here, so I apologize. But I liked this movie. Long story short, I did like this movie a good bit. Good start to the year of 2025 with films. I was entertained the whole time. Again, I think just like I mentioned with the first movie earlier, this movie is a bit long. 2 hours 26 minutes is not necessarily needed. I think we could have definitely trimmed this down some. There are scenes in this movie where they're doing like long pan outs and all that stuff. Like we could have trimmed that down. Like there's stuff you could have cut off of the film for sure. So it did feel long at aspects in the film, even though the action parts were cool and the story aspects were good. It just seems like there's some meat they could have cut off the bone here, right? But an overall enjoyable film. So if you like that first movie, you're gonna like this one as well. I think it's a very well put together sequel to that first movie. So, quick spoiler-free thoughts on Den of Thieves 2 is that it is an enjoyable film. You should definitely go check that one out. It was not the only thing I watched since the last time we talked here. I did watch another another new movie. This one was on Shutter, so I watched this one at home. It was called Get Away. This movie is a horror film. Obviously, it's on Shutter about a family that takes a remote getaway. But of course, takes an unexpected turn as they discover the island they're on has some mystery behind it, and of course, killers and all that stuff going on there on that island. It was enjoyable enough, weird a little bit, kind of British humor, but it was okay. It was like enjoyable enough for a at home Shutter watch. Like I was into it for a while. The ending gets a little crazy, but decent enough film. On all that. So if you have Shutter, go ahead and give that a check out. And then the other thing I watched out before we jump into news here, I finished Creature Commandos. Creature Commandos, that's the start of the DCU, the new world that's being built over here in the DC universe of films from James Gunn and Peter Safran and all that stuff. Creature Commandos, the official start of everything that's going on over there. And this is the animated show that's on Max. Finally finished all the episodes, and I loved every single one of those episodes, man. Like that was just pure entertainment from start to finish for those episodes. The animation is breathtakingly awesome, which is nothing new. DC's always done really good with animation, and the story's good, man. Like the story's good. It's fun. It's a good fun time. The Bride was really cool. Frankenstein's really cool, and that like all of them are awesome in that show. So, Creature Commandos, if you have Max, go ahead and check that out again. That's the start of the DC universe. First official film will be later this year with Superman, but the universe officially started with that Creature Commandos uh, animated series, short series, like 8 episodes. So good time, man. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump to news again. I'm not feeling the best. Feeling very nasally and stuffy, so I apologize again if any uh, voice issues or anything like that. All right, but going for Creature Commandos makes sense to go into DC news first here. And the first thing, the biggest news that happened in DC since the last time we talked here is that it has officially been announced that Jason Momoa will be a part of the DCU, but not as Aquaman. Jason Momoa is going to be a brand new character, which is, well, I mean, not a brand new character. It's a character that's known to the DC universe, but first time he's playing this character. He'll be playing a brand new character, and he's going to be Lobo, a person he's been clamoring at the bit to play for a while. There's been teases and all that stuff when the second Aquaman movie came out, and he was doing press for that movie. He was talking about wanting to be Lobo and all that stuff. So it's officially happening. He is, in fact, officially cast as Lobo. This has been officially announced by all parties involved, and he will be a part of the Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow um, picture that's going to be out next year. It's supposed to be the second film of the DCU. So that's awesome, man. I like Jason Momoa. I think he's going to bring a lot to that character. Um, it's cool. It's cool to see him live out that want because he wanted to play that character for a while. And I think he's gonna do a really good job, man. I think he's gonna do a really good job with character. And I can't wait to see how that all unfolds and how they make that all work out over there. So that was cool news to see. Other news to touch on: Bill Skarsgård, while doing interviews for Nosferatu, he was asked about playing the Joker, if he'd ever be interested in playing the character, and he said, "quote." there's a pretty cool Joker in me, it would be very sick. Um, Bill Skarsgård, fantastic actor. I reviewed Nosferatu. If you want to go check out that review, great actor. He's played the wacky characters. I think a lot of people know him, of course, as Nosferatu now, but he, of course, very famously was Pennywise for the two It films, It Chapter One and Chapter Two. And he's a great actor. He's done great things. He was in John Wick not too long ago. He was in The Crow. I didn't see it, but I don't think a lot of people saw that movie. But there's no doubt, I'm sure he did a good job in it. So him as the Joker is an interesting aspect. I looked it up; they're about the same height, character-wise, and he in real life are about the same height and all that stuff. So there's no doubt in my mind he would do it great. The issue is, where would he do this? Where would he be the Joker? Because we've kind of been like, I get it, the Joker's a big-time character. It's arguably the biggest villain in all of comic books. So it's cool and it's a fun aspect, especially him as a great actor. I love to see it, but where are we going to see that? Because uh, I, I mean, we have to assume the Joaquin Phoenix Jokers are done at this point. But we do have a Joker in the Batman film, played by Barry Cohegan, I believe is how you pronounce his last name. We got a little glimpse of him in the Batman, and then he's supposed to maybe have another bigger role in the coming time with the Batman series. But the Joker, we've gotten a lot of Joker. Like, we've gotten a lot of Joker throughout the last couple of years, and I get it, big time character. So you want to have him evolved. People are always kind of looking for that when you get into the world of Gotham. But where do you put it is the question, which leads us into the next bit of topic on DC, and it's something that's kind of been talked about on this show for a while here. I think I talked about it in last week's episode about what's happening with Batman in the DCU and the Elseworlds, because it was announced that the Batman sequel, the Batman 2, has been delayed for another year. Um, Andy Machete said that his Batman film, Batman Brave and the Bold, has been delayed, which is interesting. James Gunn said, I don't know how that's been delayed when there hasn't been an official date on it, but that has been delayed, it seems, according to at least the director. And that brings up so many rumors and questions and wonders about, is Robert Pattinson's Batman going to be put into the DCU? And I talked about this a lot on last week's episode. And going into this, the director of Batman, the director writer Matt Reeves, was asked about this as well, if Batman will be joining James Gunn's DCU. And Matt Reeves said, quote, really comes down to whether it makes sense. There was a story I wanted to tell, the epic crime saga. It's been important to me to play that out. And James and Peter have been really great about that. They are letting us do that. What the future brings, I can't really tell you. I have no idea. My head is down right now on getting the Batman 2 shooting, which is the most important thing. And if they decide we really want Rob to be our DCU Batman, so the question was asked to Matt Reeves after he said that, and if they decide they really want Rob to be the DCU's Batman? Question mark. Reeves said, "quote I don't know. We will have to see where that goes." So the interesting aspect of this is, before, when this question was brought up, it was very concrete that no, it's not going to happen. The Batman is going to be its own thing in the Elseworlds, and I don't know if the failure of Joker Folie à Deux has caused some changes here, because it was Joker Folie à Deux, and I think the only other thing Elseworlds is something to do with Teen Titans. Nothing other than that has really been announced other than Batman, it was Joker, and then this. Maybe after the failure of the Joker 2, and maybe just trying to make it make sense for the people who are a little bit confused by the separation of things, to just put that into the DCU. At this point, I see. I mean, why not? Yeah. I mean, the whole idea James Gunn's talked about is that having the worlds all feel like their own self, so it wouldn't hurt anything to bring that world in. And, you've had a success with the first film. The Penguin was just very successful last year, and the hype is there. So to me, it would make sense to put it in there. I don't think, the way I've heard James Gunn talk about everything, they're not going to be shoehorning the story together. They're not going to be doing like what Marvel does, where they have to force the stories to fit into everything when they're making them. They're going to be making these stories that are in the same universe. They'll eventually overlap with each other, but they're not forcing each director to make every single story fit into what they're trying to do overall on a big scale, which I love because again, I've said it multiple times on the show and I'll say it till the end till I die. My Superman show shouldn't be nothing like my Batman movie. Those two things should never look the same. So I love that aspect. I love the idea that they're just letting creators create. So I think you can easily move the Batman into the DCU and say, hey, this is going to be part of our DC universe. What that means for the Brave and the Bold and what that means for Andy Machete doing the Batman movie means will probably go away, if anything, because obviously Matt Reeves will keep working on the Batman. But I'm sure we can find something else for Andy Machete. He's a very talented guy. But I would say at this point, it's gone from being very concrete that it's not happening to being very open, it seems, to happening that the Batman's going to be part of the DCU. Now, of course, we'll wait and see how this all goes. But wordings and everything that's been going on around that realm, around that world, makes it very much seem that something's happening. Something's changing. We're getting delays, and now the more openness of it being part of the DCU. Something's happening. Something's afoot over there. um, and we'll have to wait and see how that all goes out. And of course, I'll talk about it here, man. Did I have anything else DC to talk about? No. All right, let's go over to horror. First thing to talk about here is that Fear Street is coming back. Fear Street. Now that is an R.L. Stein jam. R.L. Stein, you may know, he wrote, of course, the Goosebumps, very successful Goosebumps series. He also wrote younger adult stories for younger adults called Fear Street. And those, not a couple of years ago, 3, 4 years ago, they had 3 films on Netflix that were called Fear Street. It was like 94, 80, 90 something, 80 something, and like 1600 something. All very enjoyable, all a good time. All very successful. People have been clamoring at the bit for more Fear Street since then. They have announced it's coming out later this year. Fear Street Prom Queen 1988, which that's my year. Love 1988. So excited to see how that all works out. That was a movie that I saw on my anticipation list. So we knew that was coming, but now they have announced that 3 more Fear Street films are in the works, which we can assume will be going to Netflix as well. And that's awesome, man. I grew up like Goosebumps was one of the introductions for me with horror and spooky tales and stuff like that when I was a kid growing up. So anytime we get through this world where we're getting something related or something from R.L. Stein, I'm like, heck yeah, give it to me, man. Ingest it in my veins. I want to watch it. So I'm excited to see how this all turns out. Again, I like those other 3 films. I'm excited to see how Prom Queen goes and how all that stuff works out, man, because that's going to be very interesting times, to say the least. I would assume it's another trilogy of films. I don't know if they'll be releasing uh, back to back to back like last time, but the formula worked very well last time, so why not go ahead and do that as well this time around when we get to it. But if you're a Fear Street fan, good news for you, man. There are 3 more Fear Street films in the works, and of course, you have one coming later this year. And then last bit of news. Yep, last bit of news. Last bit of news. All right, last thing to talk about here before we end it is um, uh, Jesus, sorry, I'm losing my voice. Eggers has teased a extended cut of Nosferatu being on the way. Now, we've talked about Nosferatu a couple times on here. Again, I did review it before, so you can go check that out. But he teased that the Blu-ray release for the film, the physical media home release for Nosferatu, will have a extended cut of the film. Like apparently there was something in the trailer that we didn't see in the movie and stuff like that. So if you want more Nosferatu in your life, it is going to be happening. There's not a release date from what I've seen so far for Nosferatu's home release. Still in theaters, still doing good business, but it is going to be an extended cut when it releases in home media for all of you home media collectors, man. So that is good news, man. Go check out my review for Nosferatu. After this episode, that'll do it, man. So quick recap: Den of Thieves 2, definitely worth your time. Good little action film for you. Good little action heist film for you. Getaway, if you have Shutter, check it out. It's a good little time. It's not that long. I think it's like an hour and 30, not too long. Hour 26. So yeah, not that long of a movie. And Creature Commandos, obviously, go check that out, man. Good. Download Max now. Download, subscribe to Max now. Find a 7-day trial, whatever. Just go watch Creature Commandos. It's freaking awesome. And then all that beautiful news to talk about there. So Again, apologize for my voice on this episode, dealing with an illness. Hopefully it'll go away soon enough. Got a lot of stuff. I got stuff to talk about Halloween Horror Nights wise. So be on the lookout for that. I'm going to try to get that episode out later this week. The first episode of that show, Let's Get Twisted. So excited to do that show, man. I love Halloween Horror Nights. And we are now in the season of getting ready for Halloween Horror Nights. I'm always in the season of getting ready for Halloween Horror Nights. But that's going to do it for this episode, man. So I appreciate you all, as always, for checking out the show. Appreciate the new subscribers. Thank you very much. Appreciate all the subscribers, man. Thank you for being here on this journey. Just going to keep going and having a good time, man, because I love doing the show and having a good time. And I appreciate anybody doing that with me. Um, I hope the new year has been great for everybody so far. If it hasn't, man, just stay strong, be faithful in yourself, trust in yourself. A lot of crazy stuff going on in the world. Unfortunately, there's fires happening in California right now. We're hoping the best for everybody over there and wishing speedy health and speedy recovery for everything going on there, and hoping those fires end soon, because that's just a devastating thing going on there, as well as everything that's going on in the world, man. It can be tough times, without a doubt. Just try to trust yourself, believe in yourself, have faith in yourself. You are capable of incredible, incredible things. You do matter. You are important. Um, don't let anybody tell you anything different than that, man. So appreciate you all as always. Hope you have a wonderful rest of the day, week, month, year. And as always, hope that you find your happiness, find your love, find your passion, chase those dreams. And always remember that happiness can be found even in the darkest of times if one only remembers to turn on the light. Talk to you all next episode.